Very good. Well, thanks. Very good, Robert. Good job. Anyway, is there anything we didn't touch on that you would, any point that, just for the YouTube conversation?
I think the topic range was pretty broad, and we covered a lot of points.
You said you were cautiously optimistic. What gives you caution?
Well, California voters continue to surprise folks when it comes to the election day. So
so you're more concerned. You're just concerned about whether it will pass or not.
Yeah,
right?
you know, we last time we thought it was a sure thing.
We were up 56% in April 2010, at 56%, and lost 53.5 or something, and turned against it.
Yeah, you have no idea who's going to come into the market and try to disrupt things. You know, to Eric's point, California is one of the largest economies in the world. You know, and yeah, we can look at this on a micro level, how it's going to project the United States, but this really is going to be a game changer, like the Lieutenant Governor said, for the world, and I think it's really exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I noticed I was going to make a comment, and then we started conversing on something else. But you're very nicely dressed, nice suit, you know, clean cut. Is this new for you? You know, in other words,
what's underneath?
Yeah, is the tie-dyed shirt, you know, and all that, you know, underneath?
No, the Lieutenant Governor just spoke at a National Cannabis Industry Association convention in June. I'm a member of the National Cannabis Industry Association.
Folks look like him.
I'm on a subcommittee for them. I'm on two subcommittees for the California Cannabis Industry Association, which is the pin there, and we're in DC, we're in Sacramento, we're walking around, we're intimately involved with you know, multiple folks' campaigns, and we love it.
And this is a new coalition, right? I mean, it's doctors, it's business leaders, it's, you know, it's a very different coalition than the Prop 19 coalition, which is, I think, another, you know, the face has changed, the industry has matured, it's changing. And I think it gives us more a little bit more confidence we're going to pass this thing.
Are there any? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think Lieutenant Governor's point is well taken.
Everybody says
important.
Your points are really good, but you know.
No, the point is that this time around is different from the last time. The last time, the reason it didn't pass ultimately was because people in the industry weren't supporting it. Today, almost everybody in the industry supports it. So the negatives, if they come, are going to come from outside the industry, which is very different from the way it was
What caused the change
before.
within the industry?
My sense is they worked harder and were more successful at getting a coalition and getting people together earlier than they did the last time.
I mean, we spent 2 years trying to bring folks together and to try to bridge that gap, because Prop 19 sort of ran on their own. To their credit, they're the reason Colorado, Oregon, Alaska, Washington exist, well, Washington D.C. as well, the District of Columbia. So they brought us to this point, but it wasn't easy. We had literally, coincidentally, 19 initiatives that were bandied about originally, and we have a 62-page initiative for a reason. It needed to be 62 pages to bring concerns from each one of those initiatives to bear.
Yeah. I think Eric's definitely right on that. If you look at Arizona, an opioid producer just contributed $500,000 to anti-legalization bill. You know, when you start seeing producers of pharmaceuticals putting serious dollars down, that's disturbing for me when you see the trend in Colorado and Washington where overdoses are declining. They're I mean, it's
in your own case,
rates.
were you for 19 or against it?
19 had heavy restrictions on cultivators. It created excessive fines if your plant leaf just went over a certain amount of square footage. I mean, it was geared to put the small farmer out of business and let big cannabis come in, or big tobacco when they come in, and it was geared that way. That's how a layman interpreted the laws, and you know, this bridges the gap.
There were all kinds of legitimate issues on 19, and I think we addressed 99% of them now.
Prop 64 also protects the patient's right to cultivate, which is a serious concern when you look at tobacco. It's illegal to grow tobacco. You cannot grow your own tobacco. Fact.
Boy.
And this law protects you know, the patient, no matter what, no matter how the law shifts. I think there needs to be some clarification between mature and immature plants, so that if a patient is seriously ill with HIV/AIDS and needs this medicine to get through the day with the heavy regimen of pills they take, that they can still grow their own and do it at an affordable rate inside their closet.
By the way, one thing I meant to ask you, Robert, didn't have a chance. How do you do that when you can't open a bank account? How do you manage your cash? And
I'm fortunate right now. The city of Palm Springs and the state's taking most of the money. So, and then the federal government comes in. We're operating under 280E as well, which is a dated draconian tax code that comes in and takes the majority of everything that's left. And that's why there's an exhaustion point in this industry, and that's where you see new energy and fresh blood coming in, because folks are getting burnt out because they're not able to operate their business. You're not able to write off the mug that you put your logo on. You're not able to write off that pen that you're writing anything with, much less your business expenses. That's 280E. Then you tack on their banking issues. There's ways to navigate around that, but it's difficult and it's challenging. And for this industry to really blossom and have its full impact on a socio-economic level and for social justice issues, we need to be treated like a fair industry.
So what do you do? I mean, do you pay yourself a salary?
I haven't. I've been open a little bit over a year. We are still trying to, grow to keep in demand with our patient base that's ever growing.
Yeah.
And I haven't had that opportunity
yet. Well, it's great you're working for free, but I mean, holy cow.
Yeah. It's a difficult
well, I mean,
prospect.
let's say theoretically, could you pay yourself a salary, and how would that work? Would the government take it all? That it's can you legally operate from an IRS standpoint?
Yeah, definitely. I'm paying taxes like anybody else. I'm paying a lot more than anybody else.
Okay, all right. But the IRS doesn't say, wait a second.
They're happy to take our money. We just can't make any business deductions like any other industry.
Wow.
Yeah, but back to Eric's point, once California goes, the heft of our congressional delegation aligning with the other delegations, not just in the legalized states, but in the medicalized states, we're past the point of absurdity now with half the states having some form of medical regimes not to deal with this banking issue. I mean, it's just, there has to be some indemnity.
And you kind of touched on this kind of elusive that there's some illicit gray area in the medical cannabis field right now. If you're in a city that has regulations and you're operating in California, which it's signed by the governor, it's in action, MCRSA, there's carved out spot in the federal language for not going in and enforcing on regulated markets. We're a regulated market in California. So, absent of a town that doesn't have policy in place, we are operating, in the light, out of the shadows into the light.
So if a person says they have pain, do they need a doctor's thing, or can they just say, I've got pain and...
No, so my facility, I see a larger percentage of actual primary care physician medical recommendations. I think that's just because I'm in Palm Springs. It's an older crowd. They're coming in for legitimate needs. There are medical recommendations that are a little looser, but like I said, when somebody comes in and they say, I'm just working the system, and you really get into the grit of what they're coming in for, you get to see that it's actually for a medical purpose. And I think a lot of people just gloss over that. Folks use depressants every night. It's called alcohol. It's a wonderful business to be involved in.
Terrific. Well, thanks again. Thanks again for coming on. Lieutenant Governor, thanks so much. This was great to spend time with you last day, and thanks for being so gracious with everybody.
Pleasure. Important topics.